Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, as well as the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Kane, walking us through the mission to attack these Iranian sites over the weekend and then defend a military base in the region from Iran's retaliation a couple of days later. A few notes here off the top. That was obviously a rather impassioned speech from the defense secretary, attacking the media in many ways for its coverage of what has happened in Iran. It will be clear he suggested the media was trying to demean the contributions of the pilots and the other military personnel behind the operation. That's simply not the case. We, of course, are grateful for their service and applaud their heroism. And then we had a very lengthy story from General Kane about, indeed, the incidents there to defend the base and as well as the strikes a few days prior. But David Rohde, who's still with me, and I'm grateful to you for being here, we didn't get a lot new in the way of actually the effectiveness of the strikes. Right at the end, the defense secretary was pressed a little bit about reports that Iran may have been able to move some of the enriched uranium. There's satellite photos that show that trucks may have left the site prior to the attack. He said he simply wasn't aware of that. What struck out to you from what we just heard over the last nearly an hour?
The failure to answer that question, because what we need to do is look forward. And so the simple question was, is there any evidence that the U.S. knows of that the enriched uranium, the critical, ingredient to make a nuclear bomb, was removed from this site before it was bombed? He didn't answer that question. And as you said, he spent most of the presentation attacking the media. General Kane, I thought, was much more restrained. But this is the real question, as we talked about earlier. Will Iran now try to covertly build a nuclear bomb? So if that enriched uranium has been moved, if there are other sites where there are centrifuges, again, Iran can be like North Korea, Israel, Pakistan, and India. Many countries have done this. And that's what I think we as journalists should be writing about, and members of Congress should be debating, and that's really the issue here.
Yeah, and then we won't spend too much time on the baseless attacks on the press, going after some of the better Pentagon reporters there, even by name. We should also mention that at one point the defense secretary suggested this was I'm paraphrasing, but only a little, the most secret and complex military operation in history. I think the folks that authored D-Day might have something to say about that. But again, it seems like at least some damage, maybe even some significant damage, was done over the weekend in Iran. So let's talk about the assessments, because they spent a lot of time trying to discredit that initial preliminary DIA take. And again, low confidence, very early. We understand there are lots of caveats there, and it's been reported as such. We've now heard from the CIA. We've heard from other places as well. Do you feel like this is being results of political pressure from the White House, or are these good faith takes?
I don't know what's causing it, but I do want, I guess, as the national security editor, sort of explain what he said that was false. He said that the media, and specifically named us, has ignored these reports. Here is our report, our story last night that I personally published, written by my colleagues Dan DeLuce and Gordon Lubold. CIA says Iran's nuclear program severely damaged by U.S. strikes. As soon as that was said, we reported it. This story has the CIA assessment, Tulsi Gabbard's statement on this, the Israeli statement on this. So many of the things he said just about this mission and just about the press coverage was exaggerated. You mentioned D-Day. I mean, again, the most complex and historic operation in history. There were 11,000, I looked this up, 11,000 aircraft involved in D-Day, 73,000 U.S. troops participated in it, 2,500 Americans died. And I don't know, again, what's causing him to say that, President Trump carried out the most complex and historic operation in U.S. history, but that's not true. And then Hegseth himself, in the very first briefing said Iran's nuclear ambitions have been obliterated. And this goes back to this broader issue of what happened to the enriched uranium. And that's the question we should be talking about. It was a successful mission. I salute the men and women who carried it out. But I think distracting people by blaming the press and not addressing the real issues is, again, national security needs facts and honest debate, and that's what's so concerning.
Yeah, the political overtones of this were set right from the beginning. Right before the news conference started, President Trump posted on Truth Social that he had heard the reporters involved from CNN and New York Times were going to be fired. There's no evidence of that whatsoever. They're just doing their jobs. The political tone has been set from the Pentagon. But let's set that